All right, if you haven't already, make sure you've hit that like button on this video. Next up, we're going to be talking about Michigan on Sunday. I hate saying this because I never really like talking nice about Michigan after that COVID season, but I mean, the job Dusty May has done this year, they're sitting at 13-3 in the conference, 21-6 overall. If it wasn't for Tom Izzo, you're talking about Dusty May possibly being the Big Ten Conference Coach of the Year. Kent, I'm bringing you on. Again, you cover the entire Big Ten in general, so I figure you're the perfect guy to give us a glimpse, maybe just a scouting report on what makes the Wolverines so good.
Well, it's been a little bit of a couple different things throughout the year. At the beginning of the year, it was really the inability for people to guard Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden at the same time, and they were running a lot of pick and roll action. I think that teams have, once they started getting film on that, have started to figure out what they could do defensively to stop that a little bit. And but overall, just like a really good team, though. Like, obviously, that's why they're near the top of the conference. You go back to what you said about Dusty May, taking a team that was like in by far dead last place in the conference last year and getting them to be on the level to still be in control of their own destiny to win the Big Ten regular season this year is nothing short of like super impressive. It's crazy, actually, to be able to do that in 1 year. Other guys that you need to look out for, though, are Trey Donaldson, really aggressive, big guard. He can shoot the three. He can also take you to the basket. I like Reuben Jones a lot, very athletic, like shooting guard. He didn't have a great game against Michigan State, and I actually thought that was the reason that they lost because of his matchup and what Trey was able to do and what other guys were able, or Trey Holloman from Michigan State was able to do against them. But Reuben Jones, still a very good player. A lot of very athletic guys on this team. Everyone knows Roddy Gale from Ohio State last year. He can give you some good minutes too. So a very balanced team, a complete team if they put it all together. Their biggest problem and one of the biggest keys, I think, to being able to beat Michigan is to put the ball in Danny Wolf's hands and make him turn it over because he will do that a lot.
And another thing I noticed, a lot of Illini fans are familiar with the name Nimari Burnett. This Michigan team is very veteran. Like, it's a very old basketball team, and that's kind of, it makes sense why they are as successful as they are. They know how to play the game of college basketball. And so right now between Golden and Wolf, speaking as an Illinois fan, I just don't know if there's a way to really stop those two. I would have really liked this matchup genuinely if Morez Johnson was playing. I think Morez Johnson and Tomislav Ivisic at 4 and 5 is as good of a matchup for Michigan as you're going to find in the Big Ten Conference, right? Maybe outside Maryland also has the two bigs that match up pretty well. But without Morez, you're talking about, you go with the same starting lineup, is with Trey White starting at the 4. That's fine. Trey White gives you a different type of game, but he's certainly not big enough to take on one of the Michigan bigs. I can't imagine you put Ben Hummerkaus on one of those Michigan bigs just because of his struggles overall this past year. And right now, I really think he's dealing with some confidence issues. Is the key to stopping Michigan, stopping those two big guys, or is there another path?
I don't know if it is, because if you go back to the Michigan State game, they didn't go inside a ton. Like, Michigan just opted to, we're going to shoot threes. We're going to keep it on the perimeter. We're going to have, some action that we're going to try to get to the basket, but we're not just going to go down to the block and post you up and try to get points that way, which I thought was a massive mistake on their part, because not as bad as Illinois, I would say, but Michigan State doesn't have guys that can guard down low either. And like I said, Michigan just decided not to do it. So if you have bodies, whether it's Trey White or whoever else you have, like you were just saying, Hummerkaus, throw them at those guys and just hope that they don't put you on the block and try to back you down. And they might not score that way. Cohen Carr was guarding them from Michigan State. He can't guard those guys. And he was checking Vlad Golden on a couple of possessions, refused to go down to the block and ask for the ball. So it might not happen, but if Michigan does do that, there is a massive advantage for them. And I thought there was in the Michigan State game too, just decided not to do it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Brad does in this sort of chess match. I talked about this in the post-game show of Iowa when someone asked me about Michigan. And, originally I'm like, okay, maybe you just have to start Ben Hummerkaus just to have the size in there. But then quickly right afterwards, I was like, you know what? No, you have a starting lineup that works. And it doesn't matter whether you have Trey White or Ben at the 4 spot. Neither of them are going to be able to guard Golden or Wolf, should Michigan go with that strategy. So why not kind of force Michigan to adjust to you on the other side of the court? Michigan, as much as Illinois doesn't have anybody that can guard the two bigs, I don't think Michigan has anybody that can control Kasper. So to me, the key to this game, the game script for Illinois to win, is for Kasperas to have one of his best games of the season, which he's completely capable of. Kent, do you think along those line of thinking?
Yeah, I definitely think that he can. If I'm Michigan, I'm probably putting Roddy Gale on him, I think, just because he's a bigger body and he can probably disrupt what he's doing. But KJ's way faster than him, though, so he could take him off the dribble, too. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I don't think that they have anyone that can guard him for the whole game. So it'd be interesting on both sides what they decide to do defensively. I think that he could be in line for a big game. And if he's not, and if Roddy is the guy that's guarding KJ, who's guarding Will? So, that's going to be a tough matchup for them. I'm assuming that if it goes the way that I think, it would be Roddy on KJ, and then Reuben Jones is guarding Will. And that would be a really tough guard for him because Will's taller, he's longer, he's athletic. They're both very athletic, but I think that Will could get to the basket on him if that's what they decide to do.
Yeah, along those lines, for me, it's there's two ways that Illinois wins this game on Sunday. One is either Will or Kasperas has a game, one of the best games of their entire seasons, just because I think Michigan, as good as they are, will have trouble adjusting, especially mid-game, to something like that. The second, for me, and this kind of leads to what we talked about earlier, is Ivisic has to stay out of foul trouble. Because the minute he goes into foul trouble, Illinois is going to be in a big amount of trouble. You're going to have to throw in Kerry Booth, and Kerry Booth is not nearly he doesn't have the size to guard one of these two behemoths that Michigan throws out there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that would be a big ask for Mr. Booth on Sunday. I don't think that would bode well for the Fighting Illini at all. But absolutely, Ivisic has to stay out of foul trouble. And then you got to find a way to slow down Danny Wolf. And like I said, just kind of force him to do what he's been doing all season, which is put the ball on the floor and make bad passes, turn him over, get Michigan frustrated, and then outscore them, basically. Obviously, that's how you win every game. But I think if I was Illinois, I would want a shootout. I would want a shootout with Michigan because of all the turnovers that they have.
Yeah.
Because of what I just saw with the Michigan State game. I just think that there's more scores for Illinois that can be more consistent in this game. But if I'm Michigan, I want the exact opposite. I want to grind it out. I want to go down to the post, and I want to score at a high level of efficiency. Points per possession will be key in this game for Michigan, I think.
Thank you for watching that clip from one of our recent shows. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and watch the full episode. It should be right here on this channel. Better yet, if you are a fan of the Illini, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Illini. I produce content for you daily. That's right, every single day, right here on Locked On Illini. Tell your friends, and I'll see you next time.